just have like absolutely no idea what you're going to be subjected to over the course of the game.
Awesome. Well, Joe Walsh, thank you so much for joining us on the stage. Thanks for showing us Fall Guys. Congrats on the reveal, the demos, etc. Looks super fun. It's still, like you said, early stages. Can you give us a sense of like what platforms will be able to play this on?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to be launching on PS4 and PC early 2020.
Next year.
Next year, yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for watching from home. We will be going right into some impressions from all the games we're seeing at the show. We'll be back on this exact stage later on, but don't go anywhere. Check out our latest demos and impressions.
Are here to talk about Doom Eternal.
Yes, I saw Doom a couple weeks ago, and it's, more Doom. It's what do you like about Doom, but ratcheted up quite a bit. There's a lot more, I feel like, emphasis on controlling the battlefield as you're fighting. It's more of like thinking about who you're going to kill and how you're going to kill them in order to keep yourself alive as you're fighting through these like waves of enemies and stuff.
Yeah, they're talking about these demons. I believe they said that they're going to double the number of enemies in the game. Did you get to experience any of that or any of them that like memorable, standing out anyway?
Yeah, these big arena fights, a lot like what's in Doom, but much more full, lots more variety of enemies. It feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you've got your big, huge guys, the arachnid spider guys coming at you with their Gatling guns.
Right, those guys, yeah.
And then you got all the little dudes around, so you're figuring out like who are the priority targets and how you're going to take them out and what you're going to do about it and like what your armor count is and what your health and ammo counts are. And all of this is like a constant sort of puzzle-solving aspect of the fight.
Sure.
So
how challenging was this? Like, did you find yourself sort of having to like relearn how to play Doom at all, or was it super familiar?
It kicks off pretty quick. It was tough to get sort of back into it, but then it all kind of clicked. And especially when you're ratcheting through different guns, you're like, okay, I'm out of rockets, I'm out of chain gun, but I've got lots of chainsaw. So it's once you get rolling with it, it came back pretty quick.
Now, I guess when 2016 Doom came out, like it had such an impact. One, because it was a great game, but two, because we hadn't really had anything quite like that in a while. I think it also caught people by surprise because their E3 presentations leading up to that, I don't know that everyone really saw in those presentations what we actually got at the end. Do you feel that this game is going to have a similar impact, considering that it is, in many ways, just a continuation or an expansion of the ideas that were in 2016 Doom?
Right. I think it'll probably hit pretty hard because what it's doing is grabbing all those great ideas from Doom and finding new ways to make them interesting, right? So, like, the game feels much more vertical, and Doom 2016 was a pretty vertical game, right? But now you've got your double jump and you've got this cool grapple hook on your shotgun, right? Which, in most cases, just like, wah, nail a guy. But if you pair that with jumping, you pair it with bouncing off pads and like getting up on extra levels and stuff, now you're thinking about how I'm going to get across the level to the other guys I have to deal with before I get killed on the way. And so it's a whole nother aspect of that whole line of thinking. And yeah, it just feels like everything feels smoother and a little more punchy, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I guess unfortunately, you told me you didn't get a chance to play the multiplayer. I guess it's PvP mode, for lack of a better way to describe it, where essentially you as the player get to possess a demon and go fight against someone who's going through their own campaign.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't get to play that, unfortunately. I just got what felt like a snippet of, what a standard level would be like. But it did have some interesting new-ish feeling stuff. Like they've been talking a lot about incidental combat between arenas, and there are a few instances of that where it's not just running through a hallway to get to your next fight. It's thinking about, okay, what's ahead of you and how you're going to, again, stock up, get ready for those big fights. And then another portion of the demo was a lot of like platforming. We jumped into this weird cannon that sort of turned us into a shell and like shot us at Mars. Yeah, it was the whole like thing. And then there's like floating chunks of rock because I guess the planet is crumbling or something, and so you're dealing with jumping around on all that.
Are you using your grappling hook to get between those rocks
You
at all?
only can use the grapple hook on enemies.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it's a very combat focused kind of idea.
Gotcha. So that's what we know about Doom Eternal at E3 2019. For more games at the show, stay tuned to GameSpot. There's one thing I know about you, it's that Final Fantasy VII is so near and dear to your heart, and I think that's maybe, that and Frisbee are the two things that brought us together, but forget about Frisbee, man. We just got to play a Final Fantasy VII remake. It's kind of one of the starring games at the show, and it was kind of a crazy ride for me, but, like, I love the game. You love the game. What was your reaction?
There's so much I like about it. There's a couple things I don't, but mostly I had such a good takeaway from this. It does so many things right that, like, I didn't expect it to take seriously or do differently than the first time around. Like, first of all, the reactor that we saw, the Maka reactor, it's like recreated so well, down to the enemies you fight. The first guard scorpion, obviously, they've turned it into like kind of a larger set piece, but it still feels great.
I have to agree with you 100%. Like, the way that they've brought the world to life is great, and it's sort of one of those things where when I used to play Final Fantasy VII, I'm sure it's the same for you and everyone else out there, yeah, it was low poly, but, like, we sort of, like, imprinted our own interpretation of the details and from our imagination, and this doesn't leave much to the imagination. It's all kind of right there. It's, I hate to use the word, but it's gritty, it's grimy, right? Things are a bit beaten down, but it's also flashy, and, like, sparks fly everywhere when attacks land a certain way. It's a visual sort of showcase. And it's not surprising it's taken this long to make the game, looking at it now.
I know, like, that was the biggest takeaway for me, too, is that, like, going into this, they've only shown footage from the Mega reactor, or the Maka reactor so far. So I figured, like, this game is still probably, like, 3 years out or something like that, like, depending on how much of the first chapter is gonna fill. One thing that really resonated with me was, like, in the beginning, or the original, obviously, like, Barrett, he, like, walks into Cloud's body, and that's how they transport
the old
together.
video game way of forming a party.
Yeah. And so, like, all the little moments where they're, like, bantering between each other, and Barrett's commentating on, like, Cloud being a traitor or, like, working for Shinra, like, all that stuff actually happens pretty organically and, like, is very fitting to the original characters.
Yeah.
And, like, the voice acting is...
It's hit or miss.
I like Cloud. I'm not sure how I'll feel about Barrett. Maybe, I'll give him a chance to grow on me, but
Before this demo, I gotta say, like, Barrett's voice was super aggravating to me, and I was just, like, so ready to write him off. But there were moments, like, you're right, like when he was confronting Cloud, when he was like, you gotta place the bomb, right? And Cloud was having some hesitation for one reason or another, and, you know, it was just that exchange felt real. It didn't feel like the over-the-top, you know, Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. voice that we've been hearing. That's in there. It's a little bit goofy, but I think at the end of the day, though, too, it's interesting to see how just, like, serious this game is taking the world and its characters. Like, they're all being treated like not just sort of like archetypes that are cut and paste in there. I mean, we've only seen a handful of minutes, but you kind of get a sense of who they are and then like what defines them. Maybe that's just because we've already played this, you know, the original, and I know all that stuff. But to that point, like replaying this game now, like it's almost like a dream of Final Fantasy VII. It's like a different version of it that didn't exist before, and it's for that reason alone, I'm super interested to see where it goes. But I also want to talk about combat really quick, because that's sort of like, I think, one of the biggest changes happening to the game. It is a hybrid of, you know, real-time, not really turn-based, because it's not like the enemy is taking turns necessarily, but I thought it worked really well. You know, you didn't have to necessarily tap into those abilities. You don't even have to slow down time, because you can also map them to a single button, which was nice. But you could also take your time, pause, issue a command to Cloud, issue a command to Barrett, or switch to Barrett really quickly. And I don't know about you, but I got that flow down really quick, and that was very encouraging.
Yeah, and it was like I found myself like, you know, specifically digging through each ability to see which it did and like which ones added more stagger damage to the enemy. And then once I did that, I'd switch back to Cloud and do like the Braver attack or something for massive